that kind of relatable struggle of parents and their children, of loving them so much, but sometimes realizing that you've been loving and you've in such a hard way that you're gripping too hard.
Right.
And you have to let go. And when your child tells you, let me go, like, what do you do? That to me was gut-wrenching.
First question I have for you, it's been over a decade since you guys have played these characters. What did you bring from your own personal and professional growth to these characters in the sequel?
I mean, we were parents, whereas in the first film we were not. We were reckless. And accepting every challenge presented to us like head on. Obviously, we still carried that kind of mentality. It just took a little more time, 10 years or so later. And being a parent, at least for me, I was starting to relate to this new sensation of fear. Right. And realizing that Jim had written Neytiri in a very relatable way as well, because she was probably experiencing her own set of fears with her children.
Much like your characters, in 2009, I was 27 years old. Now I'm a parent of a 7-year-old. But can you guys talk to me about your character's evolution from this film, or from the first film to this film?
Well, Jake only went to Pandora because he lost his brother.
Right.
So I think he found love, and then he's built his own family. And so the evolution is, do you remain Toruk Makto, the leader of all these clans and this great warrior, or do you just protect your family? And what's important? I think that's his conflict in this movie. And then Neytiri she gets displaced because of the decisions that are made.
Yes.
And so she goes on a more
just
difficult journey.
dealing with that inner turmoil of an identity that was very well defined by her ancestry, and it's been rocked. By the choices that she's made, by choosing this man of another species, having a family with him, but also dealing just with the violation that's happening in her planet. I think she's not resolved. She hasn't found any resolution about it, and that's her journey.
Still holds a lot of anger.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about Jake Sully and Neytiri becoming parents and leading their people, and then during a peacetime, and then how that affects them as warriors this time around?
Well, I think they always are warriors. That's just what they are. Be it a jarhead or be it the head, the daughter of the head of the clan of the Omatikaya. And I think it's been thrust upon them in some respect to lead the people, but that responsibility gets far outweighed when you have kids. It's having kids is the biggest responsibility you can have. And you're protecting these kids because it's not just protecting them from getting hurt, but they're going to want to emulate their parents.
Yeah.
And I think that's the baggage that they're holding on to, which is why they go on the run. I think Jake chooses to be a pacifist, which goes against every instinct that is in them.
Yeah. And when do you push and when do you pull? I feel like that kind of relatable struggle of parents and their children, of loving them so much, but sometimes realizing that you've been loving and you've in such a hard way that you're gripping too hard.
Right.
And you have to let go. And when your child tells you, let me go, like, what do you do? That to me was gut-wrenching, because I know that our children are still relatively small.
But they're still independent.
But they're
As
so
you said, you got a
independent.
7-year-old man. They're their own beast.
Between us, we have 6 boys. We have like a soccer team.
All around the same age, yeah.
A battalion.
You get them together, that's created an army there, man. Yeah.
Now, Zoe, both Guardians and Avatar is really based in family. Can you talk about how Gamora and Neytiri both are similar and different, and how they view family?
I think that the similarities between them is that their worlds have been rocked and they have been taken from their world, and they're forced into like a life of just war. Right. And that may have not been the natural course of life had they had the right to choose, Right. Differences, I think that Gamora is a lot more resolved with finding her inner peace, whereas Neytiri finds herself in just chapter 2 of a very long journey with just her anger and her inability to understand. Like, Neytiri is not a voice of reason. Right. She's a voice. She's an instinct. She's a force of instinct and gut, and that's why her and Jake are absolutely just essential to each other, you know, and he's essential to her, and she leans on him for so much, even while she's wrestling him, you know, on everything, and you know, he has to have so much patience. Oh my God.
Well, look, guys, congratulations on this film. It blew me away, and I related to it so much as being a parent now. It's just incredible. Thank you guys for your time.
Exciting.
Thank
That's
you.
good.
Thanks, guys. Our pleasure.